Happy birthday!
You mean Merry Christmas.
I said
and Happy Hanukkah and Happy Kwanzaa and all of the other things that I'm probably forgetting as well.
Happy birthday!
We got
Snowman. I said
Frosty
that
the
to
Snowman.
I said that to one of my coworkers a couple days ago, and they were like, or no, I was at the luncheon with the other managers, and I sat down and I was like, "Happy birthday!" And they were like, "Whose birthday is it?" And I was like, "Frosty the Snowman."
I would just be like, Jesus' birthday. And they would have been like, okay.
Yes, this is our Christmas episode.
Merry Christmas. If you're listening to this on actual Christmas when it comes out.
Yeah. And if
Look
you're
at
not, well, sorry, I guess.
Get in the holiday cheer after Christmas.
Yeah.
You ever seen SpongeBob where he's scared to do things, or like he's happy because he's working a Krusty Krab shift at night? Well, hi, Zero. Yeah. And he's like, ow, I burnt my hand at night.
At night.
It's like that. So, yeah, Merry Christmas. And we got some good... Ooh, Zero says hello.
Hi, Zero. Prompto says hello, too.
Hello, Prompto. I don't think Prompto has been our sponsor.
No, he has not.
Okay, sponsor of Christmas. Prompto.
It's going to be from Edobug.
It's going to be Five-Head McGee over there.
Five-Head McGee.
You'll learn very quickly. Angel will post a picture of Prompto on our website, ghoulgaminggals.com. Prompto has... Huh?
He's like sniffing at Brandy Lynn's blanket on the bed, and he just like has his mouth open while he's doing it.
Ew.
We call it the open mouth. Anyway, yes, when you see him, you will realize
you will go, yeah, that's a five-head.
Yeah, his markings make his forehead look big, but he is the sweetest cat. Like
he is. He's just a five-head.
Yeah, he's a little dumb, but he's the sweetest. I've never met a cat more sweet and more lovey and more cuddly than him.
That's so sweet. He did not let me pet him on Sunday, but he did look at me with shame in his eyes. But I guess we'll just hop into it because everyone probably has to get to their families. So
yeah, well, they're listening to us on their way,
or that. So let's hop into it. What's your highs and lows?
My lows, I don't really have any lows this week, which is nice for a change. Yay! My highs, I have a whole laundry list of highs. My highs are that I am hopping into a 4-day weekend today. I got to leave work early.
Yes. Must be nice.
I know. So I'm hopping into a 4-day weekend. My other high is that I left work early today. I left at 3:00, which was nice. My other high is that, of course, Christmas is the day after tomorrow, or today as we're recording.
Yeah, we're only recording this on the 23rd, so Merry Christmas Eve.
Yeah, exactly. So, yep, Christmas is in a couple of days.
All right.
Those are my lows and highs. What are your lows and highs?
My low is probably that I have to work on Christmas Eve, but that's not really a big deal because I still have the whole night. Yeah. And my high is the fact that I get to spend my first Christmas with my fiance. And
ooh, fiance! Show that ring, girl.
Fiance.
So exciting.
And it's exciting. I don't know. I've never been a really huge Christmas person, but this year I've been really into like the holiday spirit, and I'm kind of like pretty excited about the like aesthetic of not Halloween, Christmas. Wow, Halloween's always on my brain.
I was gonna say you're always about the aesthetic of Christmas. Or Halloween.
But I am excited to kind of just do some Christmas stuff. Like we're cooking all together Christmas, and Angel and I and our partners and friends and stuff might actually play games together on Christmas. So there are plenty of things to look forward to, and at least I do have at least a 3-day weekend. So
which is nice. Well, and you'll have a 3-day weekend for New Year's too, right?
Yep. And the weekend after, because Eric's birthday is the weekend after.
Oh, nice.
So I have
Very good.
3 day weekends in a row.
I have submitted, or I will be submitting a time off request at work because I could really use like a break.
I
So
don't
pray
blame
for
you.
me because time off request approvals have been few and far between since March. So
Let's hope that you get it. I feel like it's far enough now. You've done your time.
yeah, yeah,
But
really.
yeah, that's all I got for you.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess you have a spooky story.
I have a spooky story that is, it's not technically Christmas themed. I tried to find, this is really stupid because it's not funny because it's like, oh, I'm trying to find a Christmas themed true crime thing. And it's like, that's kind of morbid and shitty because this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
someone's life. But
yeah.
I did find something somewhat Christmas themed, as in the time period is Christmas themed.
Mm-hmm.
The story obviously is not great because it's a true crime story, but there is justice.
Okay,
So I
well,
figured
that's good
I'd
to
bring
hear.
some light to it. It's not a case that I've ever heard of, so I was pretty excited to kind of stumble into a case that I've never really heard of, and it's not in the US. A true crime
Oh,
story not in the US. So I guess I'll just hop right into it, right?
yeah, I'm ready to hear this story that if you haven't heard of it, I probably also have not heard of it.
So this is the story of Joanna Yeates.
Yeet!
She Yeats.
Sorry. That's
That's
just
really terrible. Anyways,
immediate first thing. Go ahead.
uh,
Sorry.
so this takes place in the UK. So she was actually born on April 19th, 1985, to David and Teresa Yeates in Hampshire, England. She was a university student at this time, not the time that she was born, obviously. That'd be pretty exciting. She was actually privately educated at a school near Romsey. I don't know the area very well, so sorry. But she was stuttering.
Mispronunciations are bound to happen.
Yeah, I and also there's like certain things that are different here. Like they talk about her A levels, which is over there. It's a qualification as like part of your general certificate of education. It's kind of like finals here, but it's different.
Right.
But there's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
bunch of terms that like are specific to that area. Um, but she was studying for her A levels at Peter Simmons College, and then she actually graduated with a degree in landscape architecture. She received her postgraduate diploma in landscape architecture from the University of Gloucestershire. I can't ever say it.
yeah.
Gloucestershire.
I'm not even
Gloucestershire.
gonna try. I'm
Yes.
not even gonna try.
Anyways, in December of 2008, so about 2 years before her unfortunate death, she met 25-year-old architect Greg Reardon at the firm Highland Edgar Driver in Winchester. The couple actually moved in together about a year into their relationship and settled in Bristol when the company moved there. So at the time, she had changed jobs to work at the building design partnership in Bristol, where she lived, and they moved into an apartment in a large house that had been subdivided into multiple flats and multiple apartments. So essentially like a duplex, but also not, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I couldn't get it unmuted. Sorry.
You're fine.
But yes, it
So
makes sense. Yeah.
so I'm going to give you kind of a background into the day of her disappearance. So at approximately 8 p.m. on December 19th of 2010, her boyfriend returned home from a weekend visit to Sheffield to find that his girlfriend was not at their flat. And he had been trying to contact her by phone and text message, but didn't really find it unusual that she wasn't responding. It wasn't very out of character to not respond to it, especially if she was busy. So he didn't think anything of it. And while he was waiting for his girlfriend to return, he was a little concerned after he found that her purse and her keys were in the flat and their cat actually had appeared to not have been like fed yet or anything, which is unusual. He called her again and her phone just kept ringing. He found that her phone was actually inside the apartment in her coat. So she didn't actually take it with her. So he was like, okay, now I'm kind of getting a little bit like concerned because why was her phone in the flat? Like, okay, your purse and your, whatever, it's not a big deal. You could be taking a walk or whatever. But her coat was still there, her purse was still there, and her cell phone was still there. So that's a little bit strange. So at midnight, he was like, okay, I'm a little concerned. So he contacted the police and he contacted her parents to report her missing. Originally, they pieced together some sequence of events leading up to her disappearance. They determined that Joanna had actually spent the evening of December 17th with colleagues at the Bristol Ram pub on Park Street. So this is about 2 days before her actual disappearance. And she left about 8 p.m. to begin the 20-minute walk home. She told her friends and her coworkers that she was kind of looking forward to spending the weekend alone, to have some time to herself, to get some like baking and shopping done for the holidays because she was overwhelmed. And she was actually seen on a CCTV at around 8:10 leaving a supermarket, but she didn't actually buy anything out of the supermarket. And then she actually phoned her best friend Rebecca Scott to arrange a meeting on actual Christmas Eve. Then the last known footage of her completely was recorded buying a pizza from a Tesco Express at 8:40. She had also bought 2 small bottles of cider at a nearby bargain booze like company, but that was the last like actual video sighting of her. Her boyfriend and her friends actually set up a website and used social networks to kind of help look for her. And on December 21st, so the day after her disappearance, boyfriend made a public press conference to kind of say, hey, my girlfriend's missing. If you have any info, please let me know. In another press conference broadcast on December 23rd of 2010 by Sky News and BBC, Joanna's father, David, commented on her disappearance and said, I think that she was abducted after getting home to her flat. I have no idea the circumstances of what could have happened because of what was left behind. I feel she would not have gone out by herself, leaving all these things behind, and that she was actually taken away somewhere. Which is true. Like, if you leave your keys, your phone, your purse, and your coat in your flat, where would you... Like, that's not something that you do normally.
Right,
So,
right. Especially like because it's December, so it's chilly.
yeah.
Was there anything about shoes? Like, did she have her shoes?
That's actually a good question. There's nothing saying that she didn't take her shoes, but I assume her shoes might have still been there considering all of her other stuff was there too.
Because if you go out without like your
Shoes.
purse, right? But if you go out without like your purse and your phone and stuff like that, that's like one thing. Like I will go like to the dollar store and back without my phone. But like if you go out without a coat, that's weirder, but still not as weird because maybe she had another coat, or maybe she grabbed another coat and just left the original one in the house.
Maybe she didn't take
If you
her
go
purse
out
because she put her wallet in her pocket or something.
Yeah, but if you go without your shoes, then that's a big
It's like,
red flag.
okay, someone did something to you.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So they tried to find a receipt for her stuff. They found a receipt for the pizza, but didn't find any sign of the pizza itself, which seems stupid, but is important to the
Right.
timeline.
But I was gonna say because the idea is that she would have gone
She
to the
came
pizza
back with
store.
the pizza. Yeah, and then came
Yeah.
home. It's like, okay, where the fuck's the pizza? Where did it
Asking the
go?
important questions.
It's not
Where
even
is
like
the
they
pizza?
couldn't even find that she ate it or anything. They were just like, "Where the fuck's the pizza?"
Like I said,
So
asking the important questions.
the important questions: Where's the pizza? And both bottles of cider that she bought were found in the flat, but only one of them was partially drank. And at
So
the
she drank later,
so she drank the cider, but there was no evidence of pizza anywhere, even though she was literally seen eating or
okay, so
buying a pizza.
this is terrible, but here's my thought. She was a lightweight. She drank the cider, ate the whole pizza, and then
Got rid of the
she
box.
got rid of the box, and then she disappeared sometime during the box. That's what I'm
If
thinking.
only it was like that.
Yeah.
So at the time, there was no actual evidence of a forced entry or a struggle at all. So they were like, okay, we don't really know what's going on with that. Obviously, if there was foul play at all, it would have to be someone that she knew, because the only way she would open the door is for someone that she knew, which is a fair point. So on Christmas Day, a fully clothed body was actually found in snow by a couple walking their dogs near a golf course next to the entrance of a quarry about 3 miles from her apartment.
Oh, that is so sad.
The body was identified by the police as her, and her boyfriend and her family visited the site of the discovery on December 27th, so 2 days afterwards. David Yeates, the father of Joanna, had actually been told to prepare for the worst, and he was completely prepared when they told him that she had passed away. And he had actually been kind of relieved that his daughter was actually found, because I guess it is better to find a body than to wonder what happened to your daughter. And funeral arrangements had started at that point, but they wanted to delay that because they wanted to check the body, do autopsies, pathology reports, etc. So they consented to release the body January 31st of 2011. So this gave them like a month to do what they needed to do with her body to figure out what was going on. Because it was obvious at this point that it wasn't just her. It's not like she fell into the snow and died, like something was wrong. So at the time, the investigation opened and it was actually called Operation Braid. It had 80 detectives and civilian staff under the direction of Director Chief Inspector Phil Jones, who was a senior officer. And they did what they could to try and figure out what happened to Joanna. He urged the public to come forward with any information to catch the killer, especially potential witnesses who were in the vicinity of this area, which was only, again, like 3 miles from her apartment. Before, they wanted to see what happened during the time period right before her body was discovered. He had told the officers that there was thousands of phone calls and they were exhausting every lead that they could. They examined over 100 hours of surveillance footage along the entire area near her flat to see if they could find anything. And at the time, Crime Stoppers in the area offered a 10,000 pound reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of her murderer. So this is how they found out that she was murdered, obviously, other than the fact that she was dead. So following the discovery of...
That's a big telltale sign.
Yeah, that would be a sign for sure. A post-mortem examination of Joanna actually started the day after her death on December 20th, or the day after her body was found on December 26th, though the results were actually delayed due to her body being so frozen that they couldn't do what they needed to do, which is terrifying to think about. They actually had to wait for her to essentially like thaw.
Oh my god.
So police thought it was possible that she froze to death because her body at first showed no signs of injury at all. So they were like, okay, she went outside and she froze to death. But this was a girl that had no mental health issues that anyone knew of. And she was a pretty like straight arrow person. Like this wasn't a common thing. This wouldn't be something that you would just do. You don't just go wander out in the cold and freeze to death, So because of the condition of her body, they had to wait a decent amount of time until they could actually do the investigation that they needed to do. So on December 28th, they changed this missing persons case to a murder case because the coroner had determined that she had actually died of strangulation. So they're like, okay, who could have done this to her? They had actually indicated that she had died several days before she was discovered. So she had actually died, they estimate, December 17th, and she wasn't found until Christmas. So she had died quite a time before.
Like a little over a week, that poor woman.
So they had that in mind. The examination also confirmed that she didn't eat the pizza. So just so you're curious, she never ate it.
Oh.
And there was no evidence that suggested that she was ever sexually assaulted or raped before or after her death either. So this made it increasingly difficult, but yes, it is good. So the police searched her boyfriend's laptop because that's the first person they always go to.
Yeah, they always go to the husband, the boyfriend, the spouse, the partner. Yeah.
They ruled him out as a suspect and treated him more as a witness. In the end, luckily, a woman that actually was attending like a party nearby, near the flat, which was in a house.
Right.
She had actually told police and detectives that she actually recalled hearing 2 loud screams shortly after 9 p.m. coming from the direction of that apartment. And the other neighbor who lived like behind her house said that he heard a high-pitched like woman screaming, "Help me." And that's like, why didn't you say anything then?
Yeah, why didn't you say anything? That's so frustrating when that happens.
And also, like, the officers decided to remove Joanna's like door of her flat to check for like clothing fibers or like DNA, and because they wanted to see how like who had entered her house, because obviously someone had entered. There was no sign of anything. How did this person get in? It just doesn't make sense. So this is how we get into the solution.
Okay.
So shortly after 7 a.m. on December 30th, Christopher Jeffries, which was Joanna's landlord, who actually lived in the same building as them, was actually arrested on suspicion of her murder. He was taken to the police station and questioned by investigators, and they were actually checking his apartment out. And a police officer granted investigators a 12-hour extension to like December 31st to keep them like him in custody so that they could question him farther. So they kept extending it over and over again. They were extended another 24 hours, but Jeffries was actually released on bail the following day. And he had been arrested this entire time. And on March 4th of 2011, so like months after he had already been in prison, or like right after he got released from bail, he was actually announced as not a suspect anymore. So he was arrested for no fucking reason.
Oh, God.
In January of 2011, a like reconstruction of the case was actually filmed in Bristol on a broadcast on January 26th of, it was like a BBC television program. I think it was called Crime Watch. And a firm was actually like involved in the production of this, but they also were, which is hilarious to me, but they were also part of like the Harry Potter films. Like, what the fuck?
Okay.
But they were contracted to like produce the snowy conditions that Joanna would have endured during the disappearance, because they wanted to construct like her last movements and stuff, which is pretty interesting that they hired like the people who did snow for like fucking Harry Potter.
Okay.
For a crime investigation.
Well, that's weird.
But so on January 18th, they filmed everything, and within 24 hours of this thing coming out, over 300 people contacted the police, and it actually helped them find the killer. So on the morning of January 20th, they actually arrested 32-year-old Vincent Tabak, who lived with his girlfriend in the flat right next to Joanna. The authorities didn't like reveal why they arrested him or anything for quite a long time, but what wound up happening was they found DNA. They couldn't say whether the DNA was from spit or semen or touch, but they said the probability of it not being a match was less than 1 in a billion.
Oh.
So the fact that they were able to find his DNA and able to narrow down and know so quickly. They didn't say where they found it, by the way. They never said where they found it. I'm assuming once they started like searching her apartment farther, they probably found it.
Right.
So he gets arrested, and he is charged on January 22nd with the murder of Joanna Yeates after 96 hours of questioning. He made a brief appearance on the court on January 24th, and he was put in custody. So like some backstory on Vincent, he was a Dutch engineer. He was born around the same time as her. They weren't that different in age. He was a Dutch engineer who had lived and worked in the United Kingdom since 2007, and he lived right next to her. After he left university in 2007, he moved to the UK after taking a job there, and he apparently had crazy internet history. Like, they found the craziest internet history, as in like the most violent porn you've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
So like porn of like women being gagged, choked, insane stuff like that. And I think he had, during the murder like investigation, they found images of a woman who looked exactly like Joanna. In one of the scenes, she had like a pink top that was showing her bra and her boobs and stuff. And when Joanna was actually found, she was wearing a top that looked just like it. So I don't know if he like put this on her or whatever, but anyways, what wound up happening was he initially maintained that he was not responsible for her death. He claimed the DNA evidence linking him to the crime had been like fake. Like, he just kept saying like, oh, the police officers like planted it there. But on February 8th, he told Peter Brotherton, which was a prison chaplain, that he had killed her and that he intended to plead guilty. So he told a prison chaplain that he actually did it. And on May 5th, 2011, he pleaded guilty to the manslaughter of Yeates, but he denied murdering her for some reason. He said that it wasn't something that he thought out or anything, but his plea of guilty to manslaughter was actually rejected because I assume because they were like, okay, it's not manslaughter, you like straight up murdered her. Manslaughter in certain countries is different than it is in this country. It's a slightly less serious offense than murder, which I don't think it matters. You murdered someone.
Right. Yeah,
yeah, he wound up getting convicted. So the prosecution had actually filled in the details of what happened. He had strangled her within minutes. Once she had come home, he wound up coming in after her and strangling her, and he used a lot of force to kill her. And he was about a foot taller than Joanna. So he had used his height as an advantage. He pinned her to the floor, and she had actually had 43 different injuries to her head, neck, torso, and arms. So, like, different cuts, bruises. She actually had her nose fractured, and the struggle was, like, they assumed was pretty lengthy because her death would have been pretty aggressive. I mean, considering that she was
Right.
fighting someone and then they had strangled her, like she was trying.
Right.
He did not explain at all why he decided to attack her in the first place. So evidence was eventually presented that he had tried to conceal the crime by disposing of her body, and that the court had taken DNA swabs from Joanna that actually matched him. So they found DNA of him like behind her knees, of like her jeans. So that means that her legs were like wrapped around him at some point.
That's weird.
And there was also like fibers of her clothes that were in contact with like his coat in his car, and there was blood stains found on his walls overlooking like a
But
quarry.
they never found like the reason he did this?
No, he never said why he did it.
Wow.
He just did it. And yeah, he had made like weird searches after she had passed too. Like, how long does it take for a body to decompose?
Oh.
And dates of like times that like waste management was picking up garbage in like the same area that he lived in. Like, wow, real subtle.
Oh, yeah.
So he said that he claimed that killing her had not been sexually motivated, and that he told the court that Joanna was trying to silence her after she screamed. He originally said that he tried to kiss her, and that's how it started, but I don't think that's what happened.
I was like, that's pretty aggressive for just a kiss.
He claims that she made like a flirty comment and invited him to drink with her, which I don't believe is true. And
you know what? Even if she did, like, if she said no afterwards,
that's it.
That's
yeah,
not an invitation.
And then he said that after he came in, she had screamed, and he put his hands over her mouth and around her neck to quiet her. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't struggle with her at all." He's like, "I only held her very gently for about 20 seconds." And I'm like, yeah, her injuries doesn't connect, because if you broke her nose, there's absolutely no way. Within 2 days, they had deliberated and found him guilty of the murder. So he was jailed for life with a minimum term of 20 years. But like, even like you said, even if she did make a flirty comment and said, "Yeah, you should come and drink with me," and he kissed her and she went, "I'm not really for that," you don't strangle the woman.
Yeah.
2 wrongs don't make a right. That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
He is in prison still. And luckily, you know, she did get justice in some way, and her family was able to know that she died, yes, horribly, but she did fight for her life.
Yeah. Well, that sucks.
It does, but
yeah. And now this time of year just kind of hangs like a heavy shadow over.
I'm sure, but
for the rest of their lives, basically.
Yeah, and she has a ton of memorials. I believe that she also had a large impact on media, which I could get into a different time. There was like this huge scandal. Some media television thing had come out with some story about her, and it wound up fucking them over, and actually they got like sued. They were basically trying to say, no, like the person, like someone that covered her story, they had gone into like a huge thing about, because I had told you that they originally thought it was the landlord.
Right.
They had this whole story about this landlord saying that he did it and all this stuff, and once they found out that he had not actually done it, it fucked them over, because they had basically slandered him the whole time.
Wow.
So it was pretty bad. I believe it's called The Lost Honor of Christopher Jeffries. So yeah, afterwards, once they realized that he didn't do it, they had commissioned a drama about Jeffrey's arrest, because I mean, imagine like getting arrested for something you didn't do, especially something like a murder. But anyways, if you want to see it, it's called The Lost Honor of Christopher Jeffries, and it actually won 2 awards. So if you want to see something really interesting, do that.
Yeah.
Because it's an interesting perspective about something.
You said that's on Netflix?
No, I don't think it's on Netflix. I don't know what it's on right now.
Oh,
but
okay.
It originally aired like in 2014, so I'm sure you could find it like on YouTube or something. But there you go. That is the story of Joanna Yeates. Unfortunate death, but she did get justice in some way.
Well, that was a sad story. Thanks for bringing us down this Christmas.
Sorry. I tried to find a more like lighthearted story, but it's kind of hard with like paranormal and you know what I mean.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. Today for gaming, I have a surprise, a Christmas surprise.
A Christmas gift after that depressing story.
Yeah. Today for gaming, not for that first one though, because she has not been sitting here the whole time, just so that everybody's clear, because that first half was not very kid friendly. But today we have my kid, the woman, the myth, the legend, Brandy Lynn. Brandy Lynn, say hi.
Hi.
Tiny hello.
Yeah, she is like me in many ways, but in the way that I am very loudmouth and she is not, that is where we are different. Don't laugh at me. So today, because we had planned on pre-recording this for many ago, and I don't actually have any news, Merry Christmas, sorry, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about the Dragon Age trailer that was premiered at the Game Awards. But to start, I'm going to give Brandy Lynn, because I think this is funny. So Brandy Lynn is a youngster, and she doesn't actually know anything about Dragon Age. So I think it would be fun if I sent her the link, and if she watched the video and told us what she thought was happening in this trailer, because I think that that would be funny. The video is only 1 minute and 12 seconds long.
Okay.
So, and then I'll get into my breakdown of the video afterwards.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just for context, right now she looks very confused.
I'm sure. She's like, what is going on?
Any thoughts so far?
No.
No.
I just started watching it. It looks very adventurous, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good word for it.
Adventurous.
Okay, so now you've watched the trailer. Any thoughts from somebody who has no idea what's going on?
Okay, well, when it said prophecy, it totally reminded me of Percy Jackson, for one. I don't know why, but it did. Okay, and then it does look very adventurous. It looks like one of those games that like it looks like one of those games Tony plays. It's like
one of those games Tony plays.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't make any sense.
So no. I watched him play a game one time, and it was like Doom or something, and it was like.
Oh, so Dragon Age is like Doom, is what I'm getting from this.
No. It looked like it, but it might not actually be, okay? But like you like gotta go through it and like duh.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that great commentary. So proud of you.
She's like, thanks, I tried really hard.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead, and is there anything else that you would like to add as far as your thought process? Who do you think that person at the end was? Do you have any thoughts on who that person at the end was?
Not even a clue.
You don't have any ideas? Like maybe he's the bad guy, maybe he's the good guy?
Hold up.
She's watching it again.
Nah, he looks like a bad guy.
You think he's a bad guy? Okay. What if I told you that he was not the bad guy in the game before?
Wait. No, okay. He doesn't look like a bad guy. I just got like bad guy vibes from him.
That bad guy aura.
Yeah, really? So what if I told you that you could actually be in a romantic relationship with him in the game before this one?
Gross.
Okay, well, thank you, Brandy Lynn, for your commentary.
Thank you, Brandy Lynn.
But I'm going to get into the trailer breakdown. So, like I said before, that was the 72-second trailer from the Game Awards. And we're going to go into a little bit of a breakdown. So I'm not going to go into like what actually happened in the trailer. If you want to see the trailer again, then you can do so at ghoulgaminggals.com or just YouTube it. That's fine too. So for the first scene, we get a bunch of like dinosaur, turtle monster, dragons. Prompto, you sweet dummy. He's like chewing on fake plants.
Of course he is.
Yeah. So we get these, like, everybody's been calling them like turtle monsters, large looking lizards, this, that, and the other thing. I have heard a lot of people say that they are in essence like a new monster, but I actually have a different hot take on it. And if you look at the monsters, they kind of, to me, look like blighted drakes. And in the world of Dragon Age, you have like different dragon-like creatures, and the biggest, most powerful ones are high dragons, and they are always female, and drakes are always male. And so drakes and high dragons will mate and make babies. So these little turtle monsters, to me, I actually think that they might be, at least some of them, maybe they are new turtle monsters, but they look like blighted drakes to me. So this specific scene also happens in a very desert-looking place, which when the camera pans backwards, you get to like a pair of boots, and those are clearly the boots of a Grey Warden. So I'm thinking that that happens in the Anderfells, which is where the headquarters of the Grey Wardens, which is called Weishaupt, is located. So that would make a lot of sense. In the next scene, there's actually two scenes. There's like two castle scenes, and they are likely Antiva. Antiva in media has always been described as a beautiful city. It's a glittering city. It's a big castle city. It's very important to the central economy of Thetis and its own economy, and really its own everything is run by this group of assassins called the Antiva Crows. And you can see such an Antivan crow perched upon a rooftop drinking out of a goblet of some kind. And while we have seen Antivan crows appear in media recently, I am thinking that this Antiva crow that we see perched on the rooftop is either a playable character or some kind of companion that we can recruit along the way. Because the whole deal about this game is that it's intended to be like, you're a nobody, you come from like humble backgrounds, you're not intended to be any kind of hero, any kind of known person. There is no big story about where you came from. You're just some guy and you're trying to be, or girl, and you want to be the kind of person that the enemy won't see coming, which is why they're using this person who has no name, no face, no anything to call their own. We get to another character in an alleyway, and he's another hooded figure, but not the same hooded figure as the Antivan Crow. And this looks like it might be a Tevinter spy character called a Sicarii, and Sicarii was introduced in Tevinter Knights. They are keenly trained, and they are the most skilled spies and assassins and agents in all of Tevinter. And so there's symbolism on the hood and the clothing that this particular figure is wearing that we haven't seen before, at least not in game. And given that this alleyway looks kind of Tevinter, and that this person has Tevinter clothing and emblems on it, we're thinking that this is a Sicarii. So this is another potential origin story, which I think, if I have to be honest, I think it would be fantastic if these little characters and figures that we're seeing montaged up to the big mural reveal at the end, if they're all origin stories, because that would be like a great callback to the first game, Dragon Age Origins, because if you've never played, you get to like pick the origin, and the beginning of your game is different depending on who you. So like in my canon playthrough, I am a Ferelden noble, and that plays a whole different than, say, if somebody played a Dwarven noble or a Dwarven commoner or a city elf or a Dalish elf or a mage. So like everybody has a different origin, and if we got to pick our origin and play like a whole different origin, it would be just a cool callback that I'm really excited about. So, Tevinter has always kind of been painted like the bad guy in the Dragon Age narrative, so I think it would be really interesting if this Sicarii character was actually like opposing the big bad versus in like with the big bad. So the last major figure shown is a person with like a horned headpiece, and they're dressed in red and carrying a bow of what looks like floating triangles, and they're walking through a snowy hillside that actually appears to be like near a blighted tree that we see in a different trailer, which people were going crazy over that other tree.
They're like, yes, the tree.
Yeah, everybody has dubbed it the sexy tree because everybody like goes bonkers over this tree. And there's like good lore reasons why people are going nuts, because a lot of like the in-image cues don't make a lot of sense with each other. But that's a whole different story for another time. So when we change angles from the character walking through the tree to like the horn the figure is kind of in front of the camera, but on the left. We can see a little bit more of the tree, and it is covered in red lyrium, which if you remember from the episode that we've done but hasn't aired yet, red lyrium is like a big bad.
Big bad boy.
It is. Red lyrium is not good news. It is bad news bears, so they say. So this horn figure is possibly the most enigmatic character in the whole trailer, because the silhouette of it is unlike anything we've seen in the Dragon Age universe, like in game. So who or what this person is still a mystery, and it's one that people are like trying to crack all over the place. However, the figure's bow is something interesting that I want to focus on, because we saw floating triangles similar to the bow in concept art shown from the Gamescom trailer, as well as in a short story that was released very shortly before this trailer came out. The character in the short story, his name was Strife. He was an elf, and he was wearing clothing with like floating triangles on it, and one of the triangles also had the executors. And again, if you remember from the episode we have recorded but not aired yet, executors are like, they are a mystery. They are dangerous due to their unknown origin and nature. They literally murdered the Queen of Yantiva so brutally, like hundreds of years ago, that a whole century was named after the event. So, like, the executors are a big question mark and a dangerous question. So, is this person that I'm talking about somehow related to the executors? I don't actually know. But given that the profile and silhouette of this person is unlike anything we've seen before, coupled with the mysterious triangular bow and the arrow that is drawn from the fade, executors or elven in nature and origin seems to be the most likely answer. So the last thing we get to see, of course, is the big focal point of the whole trailer, which is this mural that the big bad Solus is standing in front of. And it's like a huge mural on the wall. He's got his hand placed on the Dread Wolf, which is on the centerpiece of it. And there are three main figures in the mural itself. There's two kind of enigmatic, mysterious characters who we don't super know who they are. And in the middle is a big wolf head with 6 eyes, and that is the Dread Wolf. The Dread Wolf has been described in a lot of detail in the Dread Wolf Take You short story of Tevinter Nights, which you can totally read if you want, because it's really good. But the interesting thing that I want to talk about with the Dread Wolf here is that his eyes in this mural are depicted with blue. And in previous depictions of the Dread Wolf, like visual depictions of the Dread Wolf, they've always been red. So that's interesting to me, because the blue in murals in game, like in Dragon Age Inquisition, blue is a very rare color. You only see the blue color when it is depicting something important. And so in my personal opinion, and I think it is the opinion of many people who follow Dragon Age, in my personal opinion, I think that it depicts like lyrium, just like the regular blue lyrium. I don't know why that's important yet, because when we get to the bottom of the Dread Wolf's face, its teeth are red. And so to me, because the whole thing about the red lyrium, and we keep coming back to red lyrium, and red lyrium is said to be really powerful, and it is strong enough to weaken the veil, which is the ultimate goal in Dragon Age 4 of Solus, is to tear down the veil between the world of like the living and the fade. So to me, the red teeth kind of broadcast that maybe he's going to ingest large amounts of red lyrium in order to achieve his goal. So on either side of the Dread Wolf's head, there are two like mysterious figures who we don't super know the origin of them. One of them has like horns that are pointing upward with pointed ears, and the other one people have been calling Moonhead, because her head is almost like a crescent moon with water dripping off of it, it looks like. And while we don't know for sure who these are, the best guesses that we have is that these are the last two of the old gods who have yet to be infected with Darkspawn to create the next blight. Creating a blight would be in Solus's, the big bad of the next game, in his best interest, because that also helps tear down the veil, and that also creates a weakening in the veil. So while this overview that I've done is a very condensed and very it's not as detailed as like maybe if I was doing like only an episode on it, that's just kind of an overview of what the trailer was,
what you saw,
and what I think and what I saw. And I think that it's interesting that I feel like I am one of the only people who think that these turtle monsters in the beginning could be a blighted drake or a blighted something or other that we have seen before, because most people are like, oh, a new monster, how cool. And I'm like, if a Grey Warden is fighting it, it's probably a blighted something, because Grey Warden's sole purpose is to fight the blight. So that's just like the way I'm thinking about it. But yeah, that is my very condensed, very broad overview of my thoughts from the Game Awards trailer for Dragon Age. And I know that was mostly Greek to you, but maybe you'll actually play Dragon Age and then know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Eric's been getting me to try and like play it because I believe he has it on his computer, so I might actually play it to see what all the fuss is about.
It's a really good game. I have a ton of fun playing it. Well, I guess
thank
that's
you for
it for
your
me.
breakdown.
Yeah. Hopefully this makes more sense once you've actually played it.
It
You
will.
have a whole 2 years.
I have 2 years to catch up, so
yeah, you've got some time.
But that's all we
Oh.
got today. So you can look at our social media. Angel, you can, I guess, take it away.
I'll take it away, even though I was just taking it away.
Go ahead.
You can find us on social media. Our Instagram is ghoulgaminggals.podcast. You can find us on Twitter at ghoulgaminggals, at Facebook, which is a question mark, I guess. You can reach out to us directly at ghoulgaminggals@gmail.com or through our central hub of all things, the triple G's, which is ghoulgaminggals.com. You can find us on our Patreon at patreon.com/ghoulgaminggals. And if you want to watch our streams, you can watch Janel's at twitch.tv/JanelNelly. Mine is twitch.tv/AriaMakila. And I think that's about it. I should write that down.
Just in case.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Have a fantastic
have a holly jolly Christmas.
Yes, a Merry Christmas. And you will hear us again for New Year's.
This is our third episode, right?
I think so.
Wow.
We're getting close.
Yeah, either way, we've almost been doing this for a whole year. Wowza.
That's insane. But please have a safe holiday, and we will catch you on New Year's. Happy New Year's, bitches.
Happy New Year.
Bye, guys.
Okay, bye.